Once upon a time, the financial world was in awe of the savvy businessman Charles Ponzi. He was responsible for one of the most successful investments in America, and he had millions of dollars at his disposal. People clamored to give him their money, hoping to get a piece of the action. However, what nobody knew was that Ponzi's success was built on a foundation of lies. Ponzi's entire operation was a scam that enriched him while ruining the lives of countless innocent people. Even today, a century after the fact, his name is synonymous with fraudulent schemes, the Ponzi scheme. This video reveals the untold truth about the man behind the scam and how he made millions by deceiving people. Charles Ponzi was born in Italy on March 3, 1882, into a family that was once financially comfortable. His grandparents and great-grandparents had been successful businesspeople, but his parents' fortunes had declined, and the family was now part of the working class. This change in circumstances embittered Ponzi from a young age, and he resented having to work for a living. After his father's death, Ponzi inherited a modest sum of money that he squandered on frivolous pursuits instead of attending college as his mother had hoped. He spent his days dressing in the latest fashions, dining in fancy restaurants, and indulging in gambling and entertainment with his wealthy friends. Eventually, his inheritance ran out, and he was forced to find work. Ponzi's disdain for 9-to-5 jobs led him to America, where he believed he could make a fortune. However, reality hit hard, and he struggled to make ends meet, working in various menial jobs such as sign painting, waiting tables, and repairing sewing machines. He often resorted to stealing or begging for food and sleeping in parks. In 1907, Ponzi traveled to Montreal and found work as a clerk at an Italian immigrant-focused bank called Banco Zerosi. Despite his position, Ponzi became involved in fraudulent activities, including falsifying bank records to siphon off money from the accounts of unsuspecting customers. The position that Ponzi took in Boston was of the same nature as the one he refused in Rome. At the time, he believed that he was too good for such work, but after years of laboring on minimum wage jobs, he came to see things differently. Unfortunately, Ponzi's new job did not last long because his boss was a fraudster. Zerosi used a classic scam called robbing Peter to pay Paul. In other words, he used the money from his latest clients to pay off his older clients. This allowed Zerosi to offer 6% interest rates on deposits, which was double the standard rate. However, his clients began to suspect something was amiss when their families back home complained that they were not receiving the money the bank was supposed to send. In mid-1908, the authorities began investigating the bank for embezzlement, and Zerosi fled to Mexico with a suitcase filled with cash, leaving his employees and family to deal with the aftermath of his scheme. Ponzi did not want to be implicated in the investigation and fallout from Zerosi's scam, so he intended to travel back to the United States. However, before doing so, he did something foolish. To give himself a parting gift, he forged a check from one of his bank's clients, the Canadian Warehousing Company. Ponzi took a blank check from the manager's checkbook and filled it out for $423.58, a believable and unsuspicious amount. But when he tried to cash the fraudulent check, the bank teller quickly noticed the fake signature and alerted the police. Ponzi was sentenced to 3 years in prison at St. Vincent de Paul Penitentiary, but this was just the beginning of his criminal career. After serving 2 years of his sentence, Ponzi was released on parole and planned to return to the United States, but he was not alone. He brought with him 5 Italian immigrants who lacked proper documentation, as he had been paid to smuggle them into America. Ponzi thought this would provide him with a quick payday now that he was a free man again, but he was caught and arrested once more. He hoped that pleading guilty would result in a small fine, but the judge gave him another 2 years in a federal prison in Atlanta. After his second release from prison, Ponzi was unsure of his next move. He had developed several plans to get rich while in jail, but they all required money, and he was penniless. Therefore, he roamed from state to state, working whatever odd jobs he could find. Eventually, he found a decent position as a clerk with the J.R. Poole Company, an import-export business in Boston. After 15 years in North America, he returned to the place where he began. Life was much better for Ponzi in Boston the second time around. He excelled in his job and was even promoted. He also fell in love with Rose Necco, a 21-year-old woman, and they got married in early 1918. Despite his newfound happiness, Ponzi felt inadequate. He had grander ambitions, and although Rose was content with a simple life, he was not. His desire to lavish his wife with luxury goods, such as diamond rings, designer clothes, and extravagant vacations, was unattainable on his modest clerk's salary. Determined to fulfill his aspirations, 6 months after their wedding, Ponzi left his steady job at J.R. Poole in search of a new venture. He joined his father-in-law's struggling wholesale fruit-selling business, hoping to showcase his financial prowess. However, despite his efforts, the business failed and declared bankruptcy within a year. Undeterred by his initial setback, Ponzi rented a small office to start his import-export business. Unfortunately, his lack of experience and contacts made it difficult to attract serious business opportunities. He refused to accept that he was the problem, believing that he needed to advertise his services more. However, after some quick calculations, he realized that the costs were beyond his means. His import-export business became another failed venture. Ponzi's latest failure gave him his next business idea. When he saw how much it would cost to publicize his services, he decided to publish his own trade magazine, The Trader's Guide. He planned to send it for free to 100,000 companies, doubling the circulation with each new issue. Ponzi's calculations indicated that the initial mailing would cost $35,000 but generate $80,000 in advertising revenue. He rented a larger office and hired 3 staff members. Despite his best efforts, no one showed interest in his magazine. No company was willing to pay his exorbitant advertising fees. When he went to the bank to request a loan, the bank president refused him, and Ponzi was forced to let go of his staff and sublet his office space. One day in August 1919, Ponzi received a letter from Spain. He had previously contacted foreign companies about doing business together, and it seemed that at least one was interested. The Spanish author of the letter requested a copy of the Trader's Guide and included an international reply coupon, IRC, to pay for postage. An IRC is a prepaid coupon that can be exchanged for postage stamps in any country that is a member of the Universal Postal Union. They were commonly used by people who sent letters internationally to cover the costs of a return letter when they were not expecting the other person to pay for the postage. This unexpected discovery inspired Ponzi to create a new business scheme that would change his life forever. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. In the second part of this video, we'll be diving even deeper into the topic and exploring new insights that you won't want to miss. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the next video is released. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.